Good day and welcome, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here with you. 30 years ago, John Reed, the then chief executive of Citibank, said that banking is just bits and bytes. And his statement proved to be prophetic because over the past 3 decades, it has become clearer and clearer that the banking, financial services, and insurance industry is indeed being transformed to bits and bytes. Today, we produce 2.5 quintillion bytes of data every day, and that's one with 18 zeros after. That's a staggering amount of information. It is no wonder why they say that data is the new oil, greasing the flow of business, commerce, and economics the world over. Data is a critical asset on par with capital and labor. The money is in the data, and data is the new money. The entire banking, financial services, and insurance industry is probably the hardest sector of all to try to disrupt because the barriers to entry are huge. You need mountains of capital, a ton of regulatory approval, and years of building trust with your customers around their most important asset, that's their cash. And for 500 years, this industry is a brick and mortar business, largely unchanged and working in the basis of physical distribution and proximity to their customers through the branches. But the delivery of financial services is changing, and the call to arms for the industry is to embrace its digital future, lest your organization becomes irrelevant and obsolete. So the question is, what digital infrastructure components do we need to build to overcome the pull and the shackles of heritage systems and structures? So we see 8 critical components that you must have in your digital architecture to be successful. Number 1 is to establish your cloud infrastructure. 2, three-way connectivity across your cloud infra data center, remote or satellite branches. 3rd is establishing your microservice ecosystem. 4th is establishing, consolidating, and maturing your customer employee partner engagement platforms. 5th is make use of robotics process automation. 6th, utilize big data to humanize your digital touch points, to proactively and predictably serve your customers. 7th, ensure that cybersecurity and privacy are integral to all your digital platforms and intrinsic in how you conduct your business. And lastly, you cannot execute all of these digital transformations without your people. So let's look at each one more closely. Cloud. The cloud infrastructure has kept a lot of big organizations afloat during the pandemic. And the early adopters of the cloud infrastructure have been vindicated by their decision to move to cloud. Whether their strategy is cloud hybrid, cloud first, or cloud only, their cloud infrastructure has proven to be one critical resiliency factor during these non-standard operating modes. So partner and reached out to established and trusted service providers that can deliver infrastructure or platform as a service. Connectivity is next. This is another critical resiliency factor to your digital architecture. With the increasing services that you are offering or plan to offer to your customers, a software-defined wide area network or SD-WAN addresses the need for more bandwidth. It significantly simplifies the management of branch, data center, and cloud infrastructure connectivity by decoupling the networking hardware from its control mechanism. So this provides you better control, visibility, consistency, and policy implementation to improve operation management, thus significantly reducing costs. On microservices, we said that services are being componentized. And for some organizations, this is a scary situation to be in. But it's happening faster and faster, whether we like it or not, whether we are ready or not. But for some, these are exciting times. Making available a part of their service through third-party ecosystems, it provides an opportunity to reach as many customers because this strategy has the potential for their service to become viral. In reality, we do not have access to all channels. So we might as well participate and control the game. And this is what actually PayPal did, and we can learn from their open source processing strategy, right? So what they did was they allowed anyone to pick up and drop PayPal into their systems and allow their API to be reintegrated by third parties into any code. And the result is that PayPal's relevance increased greatly. Establishing, consolidating, and maturing your customer, employee, partner engagement platforms. But instead of building them all on premise, make your platforms accessible via cloud. And you have a lot of software as a service or web hosted on demand options in the market. On robotics, leverage the technology to provide relief from repetitive tasks or requests for canned information. Augment your staffing through virtual assistants. Automate your processes without having to spend long integration efforts. The big data, you know, the big four horsemen in technology in the US, at least, Apple, Amazon, Google, Facebook. Their business is not music, books, search, and social networking. It is data management, and they have massive data mining drones that allow us all to store, tag, find, update, and manage our online experience. So we say that data is the new money. Some say data is a new salt. Some say that data is a new gold. Some say that data is a new oil. You know, but what this tells us is that money could be anything. And historically, we have migrated value and meaning from different objects as means of our trade. You know, up until the 1700s, we were trading salt for gold and vice versa. We got the word salary from the Latin word salarium, which means to get paid with salt rations. And now we enjoy its abundance through industrialization. But in economic terms, what has value is based on scarcity. And salt had, you know, scarcity historically, which was why it was more valued than gold back then. But now we say that, you know, data has abundance, so it must be cheap. But information is power, and what you make of the data, that has scarcity. Now, we are collecting and consuming more and more data, but the challenge of this ocean of data is really to have the ability to sieve and select, you know, relevant information to make knowledge out of disparate data. And the challenge for us in the business and in the technology space is, you know, how do we completely re-architect our ability to mine, manage, and secure data to help serve customers' needs proactively and preemptively? Bank robbers used to take cash out from the branches, you know, at gunpoint. But today, the gangsters take the money out bite by bite. And that is why the majority of cyber attacks target financial institutions. So cyber attacks are the new form of warfare that evades direct hand-to-hand or nook-to-nook combat. You don't need to have war with weapons anymore, and no nation is immune from attack. And the BFSI industry is expected to be bulletproof, especially since the financial system manages the economic viability of our nation and is therefore going to be one of the first lines of attack in national cyber wars. And the industry is highly regulated, rightfully so. I have my deepest appreciation of the challenges of having to be in the technological forefront and yet ensuring regulatory compliance. The question is, how do you secure your digital infrastructure? You know, cybersecurity has its own discipline, and the 10-minute space that we have will not be sufficient to cover it all. You know, but in summary, just as in physical space, you have to know your assets, what they are, where they are, assess your risks, plan out your cybersecurity program roadmap, implement controls to protect your assets, establish visibility through your security operations, work with your assurance team, with your audit, privacy, fraud, and risk offices to manage and mitigate risks. Sustain the effectiveness of your people, process, technology controls through governance. Utilize intelligence to detect anomalous behavior in your infrastructure. Leverage AI to cover gaps on capacity and capability. And lastly, you cannot execute your transformation initiatives without your people. So enable them, engage them, educate them, and encourage them to innovate. The 21st century financial services is predicated on data, context, and the electronic transfer of goods. And it's all based on data security. So the company that effectively manages and secure their data is the organization that will win. By the same token, data is where we have our greatest opportunity and threat. The vulnerability of data and the secure management of it is where the financial institution can truly leverage their history because security is in your DNA. EPLDT is your cyber ally. We're here to partner with you in protecting your and your customers' most important asset. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed the session.